Think about a project you've worked on for months, the process where you stayed up late into the night, checked the details over and over, made minor adjustments that no one else saw. Then one day, someone else describes that project. And as you listen, you realize it's your project, but you're not in the story. Ideas are generated, strategies take shape, success emerges. But throughout this entire process, your effort remains in the background. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. This has to do with psychological dynamics that render effort invisible, allow others to take credit for successes, and unconsciously guide people's behavior in the workplace. Success appropriation at work often appears to be a simple matter of ego, but the situation is much more complex. In psychology, status refers to how a person is positioned within a hierarchy and how valuable they are perceived to be. People are highly sensitive to the possibility of losing this status. They often shape their behavior accordingly without realizing it. Research reveals an interesting behavioral pattern. When they feel their status is under pressure, some managers may unconsciously downplay their team's contributions. Why? Because your strong ideas could call their position into question. If a team member can generate such strong ideas, the manager's role may automatically be overshadowed. This may not always be a conscious thought, but when the brain senses that its status is threatened, it automatically activates defense mechanisms, and taking credit for someone else's success is one of the brain's fastest and most effective defense mechanisms because success legitimizes its existence and position. It reinforces the perception that I am in this position because I produce value. Another situation is the importance of perceived contribution. In business life, there can be a significant gap between actual contribution and perceived contribution. Your analysis may have taken 3 months, but the person presenting it makes it visible in 20 minutes. The employees perceived as most valuable in the workplace are not necessarily the ones who produce the most value. They are the most visible ones. And visibility becomes a strategic resource. The person who takes credit for your work is actually making a move in this visibility race. Consciously? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Most of the time, the person may not be aware. The intention is not malicious, but the result remains the same. Your labor, given quietly in the background, turns into their shining success in the foreground. And this is a dynamic that we often encounter not only in business life, but in many areas of life. Another dynamic is social comparison. At work, people try to understand their own value by comparing themselves to others, and this creates a constant cycle of competition and comparison. When this situation is combined with visibility and ownership issues, it makes it even more apparent how effort can go unnoticed and sometimes turn into someone else's success. Am I better than them, or are they more successful than me? Some people resort to taking credit for others' successes in order to appear superior in such comparisons. Some studies show that people with low self-confidence but in managerial positions exhibit this behavior more often. They may feel inadequate deep down, but they have to appear competent and successful on the outside. And the easiest way to quickly resolve this conflict is to present others' successes as their own. At this point, another dynamic comes into play, the reflex to claim success within the hierarchy. Those in higher positions may naturally tend to view projects or ideas as their own. The effort and contributions you put in, even if unintentionally, become open to being claimed by someone else within the natural flow of the hierarchy. And some leaders consciously use this dynamic. They describe team success using I language and failure using they language. This is not just about words. Language is a powerful tool for mental ownership. When they constantly place success at the center of their narrative, the brain begins to internalize it. Over time, the person may start to believe that they really are the main source of that contribution. Add to this the invisibility of contributions. Some roles are inherently more visible. The presenter, the speaker, the signatory, the analyst, the data collector, the person working behind the scenes are often invisible. So how do you manage this situation? First, it's important to understand this. You may not be able to change this behavior, but you can manage its impact. You can't control the other person's behavior, but you can control your own visibility, communication, and how your contribution is perceived. Now I'll show you a few tactics. Number 1, make your contribution visible, but strategically. Don't just present your analysis to your manager, share it with the team. Clearly state your name in your report and clearly cite your sources. State it clearly in emails and presentations. This way, both your contribution becomes clear and you demonstrate a professional attitude. This is not selfish, but completely professional transparency and clarity. Number 2, ensure direct visibility to upper management. If your work is always relayed through an intermediary manager, that person may naturally take credit for your contribution. But sometimes you can email upper management directly, attend meetings, or present reports. This way, your contribution is directly seen and recognized. This isn't bypassing the hierarchy, it's a professional visibility strategy. Number 3, recognize ownership early and gently correct it. When your manager says, "We did this," in a meeting, immediately add politely, "Yes, we achieved significant results, especially in the analysis section I prepared." Not aggressive, just specific. Specificity corrects the general statement and makes your contribution visible. Number 4, create allies. If there are other people who see your contribution, don't keep them as silent witnesses. Ask them to mention your name at appropriate times. By the way, your name, did this analysis, did a great job. This social reference is very powerful because when someone else says it, it's more credible. Number 5, think long-term. One instance of credit theft won't end your career, but constantly staying invisible will. So don't turn every incident into a battlefield, but strategically ensure your contribution is known in the long run. Maybe your name wasn't mentioned in this project, but in the next presentation, do it directly. Maybe you didn't get credit at this meeting, but email the report to all upper management. The game isn't one move, it's the sum of multiple moves. Finally, remember this: success-claiming behavior isn't always malicious. Most of the time, it's a natural result of workplace dynamics and structural mechanisms. When a leader talks about the team's success, they say, "we." That's normal. But when they say "we," do they mention the names of the team members? That's where the distinction lies. But if they just say, "we did it," and don't mention your contribution at all, then there may be a structural problem, and you need to manage that. In your professional life, you are the only one who can protect your contribution. When success comes, many claim ownership. But when there's a mistake, why is it always the same name that comes up? How is it that some people, even if their involvement is limited, are systematically pushed into the responsible position? In the next video, we explore this question. Why are mistakes always blamed on the same person? You'll see clearly how this game works.